and welcome to my knitting podcast or video podcast where I talk about my knitting projects. It's been a while since I recorded, so I have a lot of projects. I'm just gonna, instead of trying to make a whole list of all the projects I've done for the past 6 months, I'm just gonna talk about the most recent ones first. My name is Ingunn and I live in Stavanger in Norway. So the first project I'm going to talk about is by Westknits, Stephen West, Rain or Shine socks. He said that this is maybe one of the first sock patterns that he's designed, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't want to stress out too much by choosing too many different colors, so I just stuck to 2 colors so I didn't have so many ends to detach. And I used a yarn that I had dyed myself, which is the brown one and also the yellow one. Both are by Vegan Yarn. They're based Played. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's a pretty good sock yarn. It's the first time that I've actually used it for socks, and it's not as good as the white one, which is the Yabo. Their vegan base, which is soft raggy, yeah, and it's very elastic and also wears doesn't get as worn out. So the Vegan Yarn one I think is a cotton bamboo elastic, while the Yarbo one is the one that has also a bit of acrylic and also bamboo and elastic, but they are about the same weight, so I could use them together, and I'm pretty happy with my socks, except they're not as elastic up here as I was hoping, so they're a bit hard to get off and on, but I'm sure they're gonna get wider. I made them really long also. They're actually quite long, but they're so long and tight now that I can't really fit them at the top. But the pattern was really fun, and I might make another pair, but then there's so many sock patterns, so who knows, maybe I won't. Also, I recently made some leg warmers. I had made some leg warmers last year that I used every day, all the time, so I wanted another pair just so that I could wash them sometimes and use them outside more and not have to keep them so clean all the time. So I went to Stephen West again. This is going to be my Stephen West episode because that's mainly, it's been very Stephen West inspired for the past months. So this pattern is called Building Blocks Leg Warmers, and I have used them quite a bit, so they're not as prettily blocked. I just started using them, but I like them, and it wasn't as easy as I thought at first. You start at the bottom, and when you've done this hem, then the blocks are pretty similar, so it's easy to look at the wrong one in the pattern and do the wrong one, which I did a few times. And I just decided to make it as a swatch, sort of an experiment, since it was just going to be leg warmers that I probably would wear under pants and nobody would see them but me. So I was just going crazy and experimenting with different colors and yarns, and I was really unhappy with how it turned out, actually. But then now that I've started to use them, I don't mind so much. So because when you put like thick socks and then these on top over, it kind of just looks like you have really long stocking socks, and that's what I was going for, and it just keeps you warm in such a great way. They're easy to take off if you get too hot, so it's a kind of a mix of llama and a bit of merino. I think the major thing that's happened in my life in the past, since the last podcast I made, is that I've been trying to knit more with merino, since if you've looked at my podcast before, then you know that I have a lot of allergies, so that I've been struggling with finding yarn that I'm not allergic to in a big way, and using a lot of llama because of that. And once I took the plunge and bought some merino high end and tried it, I realized that if I do, especially if I do wash it myself and dye it myself, maybe, so that's thoroughly rid of all spinning oils and lanolin, then it seems like it can work. So I've been buying more merino and knitting more merino. And I was actually trying to dye some yarn for the hyper knitting this winter, the knit along of Stephen West's, and I bought like this 5-pack of kind of cheap merino from Ad Libris, and it's very loosely spun, and I dyed it, and I felt like I kind of wish I hadn't. It was so cheap that also I feel bad for the sheep. I kind of, if I'm going to knit with merino, I really want to make sure that the sheep haven't been mistreated, and I know that happens with merino, so I kind of feel bad about it overall, that I just that this is the merino yarn I bought without checking for that, and so it's probably been coming about in a cruel way, and it ruins it for me, even if I did dye it myself, and I'm pretty happy with the colors. But also it kind of just, when I know it's cheap, it kind of looks cheap to me. So I'm not sure that I'm gonna be even, I'll probably knit with it, but I'm not gonna be buying it again, and I might not be using it for a big project like that big shawl. That's gonna take a really long time. The third skein that I dyed, I'm not all that happy with. Sometimes they look a bit too scrappy, and my camera on my phone is pretty bad because it's kind of broken. That's why you can't really see all that well. So this is like a semi-sound podcast this time, but I'm hoping the sound is better since I'm using my AirPods this time. I'm really trying to have good sound. Another finished project is my Marl Mania leggings by Stephen West that I've used quite a bit, and I had a bit of the same problem as with the socks that I used, the vegan yarn basin, the Playad one. It's not as elastic as I was hoping. I've used them, they fit, they're really extra long, so they're kind of like leg warmers in the bottom. And but yeah, I've used them in the house. They're just kind of loungewear, you know, and it was fun. Marling it was fun. I had dyed a lot of these colors myself, the yellows, the blues. Sorry about that. And it was fun to marl. And the other, it's two strands held double. One is the vegan yarn Playad, and the other is it's Lille Rille mot Østen, which is 50% silk and 50% camel, which also is not very elastic. So if I'm going to make more pants, I'm going to make them a bit more elastic. I was just thinking that maybe it was good that they're not as elastic because they're going to keep their shape a bit better, which they have. And I can get them on and off. I had to make the waist a lot higher than it was in the pattern, and now it's a bit too high because they have sagged a bit, so it's a bit too high. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but it seemed like the waist was so low, and I like high waist. And I also had to go off piste, like, and improvise a lot to get. I had to do the legs a few times to get them the right width, but it was okay because it's easy knitting. You just keep knitting in the round, and it was fine to have a few chances to get the colors the way I wanted them, which was kind of what I enjoyed the most. And it's nice to have these pants if I want to sit at home and wear only things that I've made myself from top to toe. And so I'm glad I did them. And they took a bit longer than I thought. And they did they did expand quite a bit at the top, and not as much as I thought around the knees, which I guess is good, and I was trying to avoid that anyway. And yes, and I also made, I planned it for a long time since last winter that I wanted to keep doing building blocks. I looked through all the Westknits mitts. I guess they're called half mitts in English, and I wanted to do the building blocks, and it took a long time before I remembered it, and then it was in my queue and Ravelry. So I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. You can see pictures in my Instagram since the camera here is very bad, but I used yarn that I dyed myself. This red is my favorite, I think, that I've done. And well, I guess it's not really red, it's more like wine, kind of wine red is what we say in Norway. And the green is really, I wanted to have some mix in jewel tones, and because what I noticed with my leg warmers when I made them building blocks is that they make like really cool bracelets with this design. So even these here too, I have that yarn that is not elastic enough, but I mean they do, you can put them like that, and I'm going to show you the other one. They're not exactly the same, but they're kind of similar. So they look like that, and they were fun, and they're very warm because they're on needle 4 in Norwegian, European sizes, and I put some different types of silk and some cashmere, and I just like the way that you can have them look like bracelets, and at the same time it's so warm when you keep them like that. And yeah, I'm happy with these. I'm so happy. I kind of want to make more. Maybe it's a good Christmas present because they don't take as long, but I'm just not really making any Christmas presents usually. I mean, last year I made one for my mom, and part of me wants to do another one. Maybe Verduses Unite would be a good present, but it's a lot of yarn, and my yarns are like the most expensive, it seems, because of my allergy and stuff. And also if I'm going to knit, it kind of ruins it for me if I feel that the yarn is not as good as it can be. So I guess I've become a bit more conscious of having just the best yarns I can find to make it as enjoyable as possible for me when I knit. And sometimes if I'm trying to knit a present, then it becomes something stressful, and I really don't need that. And I'm pretty sensitive to stress, so I'm trying to keep that away from my knitting. And if you're wondering what's here, this is a blanket that I've had for a really long time, because actually my grandmother crocheted it for me. She had, let's see, about 13 grandchildren, and she crocheted one for each. I remember when I was a kid, she asked me what colors I wanted in my blanket, and I had no idea. I was like, I don't know. So she just kind of picked them a bit for me, I think. And it's nice to have it because she died in the 90s, and that's a really long time ago, and it's nice to know that she shared my interest in crafting, even if crocheting is not something that I've really ever learned how to do. And behind me here is my other Westknits shawl, cozy corner, and it's in my cozy corner, so that's it really goes well with this armchair I found, but it's also good for wearing. And I was gonna show you my other two projects that I'm working on. I've been working for a long time after I made the Marled Magic shawl. It was so good and fun that I wanted to just do the sweater or dress. So it's been going on for a while, because there was a long time I had too much allergies to knit with mohair or merino. And it has mohair and merino and a lot of other things too. It's going to be a bit hard to show it, but it's not done yet. I'm thinking this is going to be done soon, and that it's good because it's November now, and it could be my Christmas dress. So with all my allergies, Christmas can be so hard because of all the food that I love that I can't have. And I'm trying every year to get better at focusing on how to not be too sad about it. And knitting is one thing that I can do that is usually working. But last Christmas I was knitting so much on that Marled Magic shawl that I started to get pains, and that's when I started to do some yarn dyeing. So that's what I'll do, I guess, if I get pain again. And I have had a bit of pain lately too, but right now I don't. So I've been getting this back out, and I only have the only thing I have left is the hemming and the sleeves and the neckline, and also I want to make it into a dress, because I think that even if it's a bit heavy and I might have to put it in the dryer a bit, it's I'm pretty happy with this part. I'm not as happy with the first things I did, like this part, because here I was still finding out what colors would work. But I still want to make it a dress because it's already a big tent. So my plans for Christmas this year, wear this tent. That should be doable. But I love the back. That's the last thing I did. It was very satisfying to have done all the different sections, and then in the back I had finally found a really good combination of yarns, and I started to use a bit thinner needles just to make sure it wouldn't stretch so much. So pretty happy with that, and I'll be taking pictures and putting them on Instagram when it's done. That should be pretty soon. I'm thinking for the neckline I might do something that's almost like this. This is a blend of one yarn that I dyed myself, that is orange, yellow and white, which is Llama Soft by Strikkelogg, my go-to. No, wait, is it Llama Soft? Soft Llama. Pretty happy with this. And the other one is one with just lots of yellow, with a bit, I think it's from Lilla Rille. It's a merino that she made in Easter themed colors. It has just some tiny little red speckles, but mainly it's yellow. So together with one strand of yellow mohair, it felt like I was knitting with, you know, the pulp that if you made orange juice by hand, all the pulp, it kind of looks like this. It's like I try to knit the food that I can't eat. But I look forward to the way this is gonna look when this is the back. It's like this, and it goes downwards, and there's going to be mohair at the bottom, because that's the only thing that's light enough. And this is the front. Yeah, it's fun, but there's mohair. Yeah, but the marling is, I could just keep doing it. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do a Vertices Unite and try to keep marling after this. But I'm also, for the first time, I'm in the knit along that was a mystery knit along by Westknits, and it was pretty fun. I mean, it felt like kind of a big commitment to buy so much high-end merino since it's not every day that I can knit with it. If I start to feel itchy and allergic and my nose starts running, I have to put it away and just knit with like a cotton instead, like this. So it's not every day, and then it kind of stopped. I had a long period of allergy. I had to put it away just after the last clue came in. But now I'm back at it, and I think I'm gonna finish it. I'm really happy with the yellow that this is the best yellow I have made. I love yellow, and when I've been dyeing yarn, I've been trying to find a good way to make yellow, and I'm not sure what it's called in English, but it's called reseda in Norwegian. I think it's something entirely different, but I'll get back to you. Hold on. Okay, so in English it's called weld, and I just also want to show you my book. This is a pretty good book, but my favorite one is the one by Anna Bauer. That's where I really have gone a lot to look for ideas. I could show you the book, but I'm not going to. Anna Bauer has a really good Scandinavian book. I'm not sure it's out in English yet, but it's about plant dyeing. And I've really enjoyed it. Anyway, that's where I got the idea of getting reseda, and I was really happy with the yellow that I made, and it's supposed to be really lasting, because the other yellow I did before was with turmeric, and it does fade. This is entirely turmeric, and it's already faded quite a bit, but this is supposed to be much longer lasting. It's high-end merino. I think it's from Unique Garn, and I know that they have ethical merino that has not been made in a cruel way. And so that was my accent color for my twists and turns MK. And so for the two other yarns, I had already bought this yarn when I went to my first and only knit podcasting meet, and we went to a local yarn dyer called CC Garn, I think it's called. Let's see. CTE Garn. It's in Sandnes, which is near where I live, and this green is amazing. But actually it's light green was the one that they had when I was there, so I just went to their website and looked for another green that would match it. And so both of these are from CTE Garn, and they're plant dyed. And so this is going to be an entirely plant dyed merino, high-end merino shawl, which is my first shawl made of entirely out of merino. And it's been a really enjoyable knit, apart from the fact that I had to put it down. It's a bit hard to, like the part where you have to, here you keep doing these stripes and you have to make sure that it kind of comes together here at the end. That was hard to me. I had to do it several times, and I had to try and kind of cheat a bit and count a lot to get the end to end where I wanted it. And in the video, Steven says just kind of, it doesn't matter, but it's not going to look good, I think, if it doesn't end where it's supposed to end, just about. So that's the only thing, and now I've come to the other side where I'm going to try and do the same thing. I guess I just have to make sure I'm not really too tired or anything, that I just do it very precisely in the beginning, which maybe I didn't do on the other first side, because it seemed like it would be easy. But it's really important that you just pick up the right stitch here every time, and that you remember to change between 1 and 2, yeah, if you've done it, you know what I mean. That you don't forget anything at this every time you attach this part. And so that's twists and turns. And yeah, and a small project, another small project that was inspired by one of my favorite podcasts, Sofie's Strikkelogg, which is in Swedish. This is the Belém. It's by Strikkelogg. It's just like a, yeah, what do you call it? Ear warmer. I don't remember what it is in English. But it was pretty, it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be, because you weave and it's a bit rough on your back, I think, to do all those weaving and purling. It's a bit rough, even if it's a really small project. So, but I'm glad it's done. I did it in Jabo yarn. It's Llama Soft, I think. Yeah. So it seems like this kind of technique with the knitting is gonna be pretty good, because it's elastic in this way and not in this way. So it's not gonna keep getting too wide. And I'm already planning on making more of these because I have more of the yarn. And now that I know it fits, I can make more, because my head is a bit big and hard to find things to fit. The last thing I'm going to show you is another Westknits shawl. It's my Garter Goodness shawl, and it's done on quite thin needles because it's in this albireo base from Vegan Yarn. It's my allergic knitting, and there's been quite a lot of allergic days, so it's good to have a project that's just garter, and it's not going to make me tired, it's not going to make me have to think much, and it's also not going to make me sneeze at all. It's entirely safe for me to knit with this yarn when I have allergy, which is really good. So I had a lot of meanies because I had their Christmas advent calendar last year, and so this is from there. And then also I dyed some of it myself, I think. No, I haven't done any of this myself, but I dyed some of this from the calendar, which I'm planning to make into a shawl by Susan of one of my other favorite podcasts, which is Knitlib. She has made this shawl called 7th Street, which I have had in my queue for a really long time, and I have this yarn in blue, which I dyed some of, and I'm gonna do, I think, that next. I think I'm about to bind this one off because I'm out of colors that kind of match, but it's gonna just have an I-cord. It's gonna be like a really kind of circular, it's very long at this point. It has a lot of stitches, which makes it a bit harder to experiment with the color, but I'm okay with it. I forgot I had more of the green. I should have put it in, but oh well, I can use that with the blue in the next one. Well, that's it. That's all I wanted to contribute for now, and I'm about to go cast on a couple of new things. I want to look at casting on a vertice tonight, and also maybe peek out, see if I have some yarns for the hyper knitting project of this year. But I'm really glad that people keep making podcasts because I love watching them. So I just wanted to contribute a little bit. And I don't know how long it's going to be before I feel like doing it again. But if I don't see you before Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. And I will see you again and make another one as soon as I can. Have fun and enjoy your knitting.